I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, July 7th, 2021 to order. Could we please have roll call?
We have 10 present and 2 absent.
10 present, 2 absent. Please note that Commissioner Mankins and Commissioner Shea are absent for an excuse for tonight. Commissioner Sorich, could you please lead us with the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and fellow commissioners. Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver Bow. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorich. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the June 16, 2021 regular meeting. Commissioner Shaw, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve the minutes that occurred on the June 16, 2021 regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 2, 10 yea.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Next on the agenda is items not addressed on the agenda tonight. We do have 2 items, 2 items on suspension of the rules. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. To start with, we have, in accordance with the provisions of Section 6 of Rule 6 of the Rules of Business of the Council of Commissioners of the City and County of Butte-Silver Bow, State of Montana, the Council hereby finds that an emergency condition exists which requires that the Council rules be suspended to allow Communication 2021-338 and Resolution Number 2021-23 be added to the agenda of tonight's regular meeting of Council. And the reason for this suspension is as follows. Communication 2021-338 is a request to pass a resolution to impose State 1 fire restrictions, which effectively ban all open burning within the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana. Resolution number 2021-23 is a proposed resolution to impose such restrictions. These both items are being submitted based upon the determination made on July 2nd, 2021 by the Dillon Area Restrictions and Closure Group, of which Butte-Silver Bow is a participating member, that emergency conditions require, under the authority of the Dillon Area Restrictions and Closure Group, Stage 1 fire restrictions be imposed. Since this determination was made following the closure of the agenda for tonight's meeting, it was necessary to suspend the rules to add these 2 items to the July 7th, 2021 Council agenda in order to allow the Council to formally act on the Dillon Area Restrictions and Closures Group determination and implement these emergency fire restrictions within the City County of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana, beginning on July 9th, that's a Friday, 2021. Based upon the foregoing, the Council hereby finds that an emergency exists which requires this suspension of Resolution 2021-23 and Communication 2021-338. So at this time, after having read the reasoning for this emergency, I would move to approve the suspension of the rules to consider placing Communication 2021-338 and Council Resolution 2021-23 on the agenda at tonight's regular meeting for approval and passage.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place Communication number 2021-338 and Council Resolution 2021-23 on tonight's agenda. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
Moving on to our second suspension of the rules.
And those items will come up later on in the agenda. The second item is, again, in accordance with the provisions of Section 6 of Rule 6 of the Rules of Business and Council of Commissioners of the City and County of Butte-Silver. We hereby find that an emergency condition exists which requires that the council rules be suspended to allow communication 2021-339 to be added to tonight's agenda. The reason for this suspension is as follows. This is a communication from Human Resources Benefit Specialist Teresa Marshall requesting authorization for the Chief Executive to sign a run-out services agreement between the City, County, and Allegiance Benefit Plan Management. This agreement will allow Allegiance to process health, dental, and vision plan claims incurred on or before the end of June 30th, 2021. Although this communication was submitted by the deadline, it was inadvertently not placed on the agenda. However, due to the time-sensitive nature of this communication, Ms. Marshall is requesting a suspension of the rules to place this matter on the agenda for action. So based on that foregoing, and in order to allow this matter to be acted upon, the council hereby finds that an emergency exists, which requires a suspension of the rules to add this item to our regular meeting agenda. At this time, I move to approve the suspension of the rules to consider placing communication 2021-339 on the agenda at tonight's July 7th, 2021 regular meeting for approval and passage.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place communication number 2021-339 on tonight's agenda. Anything on the question? All right, commissioners, please vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on. Chief Executive's report. I'm happy to report last night we sent in the budget for this next year. We had our meeting last night. I got to thank Director Danique Leeson and her staff for preparing the documents for the commissioners. As I said last night, the amount of work that goes into it is extraordinary, and I got to be a part of that process and watch it, and I got to thank all the directors for their work on that as well. Another report is I will be leaving in the morning, heading to Washington, D.C., going to the NACO conference. With that NACO conference, I have a meeting with the Administrative Reagan of the EPA's staff. I don't have a direct meeting with him, but I thought it was important for us to get on the new administration's radar while I'm out there. I think it was real important in back a year or two ago when Mr. Benevento came into Butte, and how important it is for us to make sure that we are in conversations with the new administration, with all the things going on in our local, with the cleanup and the consent decree and Montana pole plant and everything that's going on there. It's vitally important. Also, I'll be out there. I'll be visiting Senator Tester's office. I've got calls into Senator Daines' office and also to Congressman Rosendale's to try to meet with them. I think while we're out there, it's important to try to make those connections and keep Butte on the minds of our representatives for the state. With that, there's lots of things going on. We're still meeting about ARPA. Things are changing daily. We'll be reviewing the budgets, as I know there was a lot of conversation about that tonight, and we'll continue to work on that. So with that, I'll close out the Chief Executive's report. It's a hot night. I know people want to get moving on this, and so we'll move on to any public comment on any items on the agenda tonight. So any items that are listed on the agenda tonight, if you would like to come forward and speak to, please state your name, your address, and what item you'll be speaking towards. Seeing none, we'll move on to any written comments tonight. We don't have any written comments tonight. All right. Moving on to Section 1, consent agenda. Section A, 1 through 4, and B, 1 through 34. Do we have any friendly amendments or segregations? Oh, B, 1 through 39, plus the addition of communication number, oh yeah, right, to the end, right, yeah. I think that's, okay. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I would like to segregate communication number 39, 2021-337. Thank you.
Segregating communication number 2021-337. Yep. Any other ones? Commissioner Anderson.
Number 5, 2021-302.
Number 5, communication number 2021-302. Any other segregations? Seeing none. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve Section 1, the consent agenda, A 1 through 4, and Section B, communications 1 through 39, with the exception of item number 39, 2021-337, and item number 5, 2021-302.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to, is there anything on the question? Commissioners, please vote. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay. Moving on to communication number 2021-302. Commissioner Anderson, I'll read it first. Ryan McKay with Wolf Tones Hurling requesting Council of Commissioners to authorize the use of the original mine yard on August 13th, 2021 to hold the pre-hurling tournament draft and fundraiser for August 14th, 2021, USGAA Northwest Hurling Gaelic Football and Camogie Tournament. I know I blistered that, but Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Chief Executive. I'm glad you had to read that and not myself. That being said, on the amendments on page 2, there's a section for approval, sheriff's signature, fire signature, and others. None of those were signed. Do we need to have those signed for this to be approved tonight?
On those, I believe that we do not, because it's when we have the original mine yard, it's like the weddings and different things like that. That's a space that we allow not to have all those signatures on.
Okay, perfect. And it did look like they initialed that they do have their own insurance. I know that hurling is a very violent sport. I'd just hate to see us with any liability on that issue. But it does look very interesting. I'm excited.
Thanks, Commissioner Anderson.
With that being said, I would make a motion to concur and approve communication 2021-302.
Second.
Place it on file.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to concur and place on file communication number 2021-302. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to communication number 39. Communication number 2021-337, Doug Lang, Hawkins Water Treatment Plant Vice President, requesting Council of Commissioners to request authorization for Chief Executive J.P. Gallagher to sign an amendment to contract number 2021-39 to increase the price of aluminum chloride sold to the city of Butte-Silver. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Reason for segregating this communication is I would maybe call on Director Neary to see if this was a bid, and if it was a bid, I don't see why we should increase the payment, and if it wasn't a bid, I would want to know about the package it was in. So, Mr. Neary.
Commissioner Fisher, Director Neary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. For the record, I'm Mark Neary, Public Works Director. Commissioner Fisher, Doug Lang reached out to us because he wants to increase his price. My thought is what you're saying, he bid it, and we can't, I guess it's not our fault that the prices went up, but I think we would open the door to everybody, just like the pipe contract that's on here tonight, that price is going up hourly. So I think if we did it here, we would have to do it for them. I mean, it's a bad situation, but I believe that they bid it in the price that they have, they signed a contract. And that's my take on it.
Director, Commissioner Fisher, follow-up?
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Mr. Neary, I appreciate that input, and as you know, I agree with totally what you're saying, and if maybe the people that bid against him had a little crystal ball that told the future a little better than Mr. Lang did or whatever here, but I can't see no reason why Butte-Silver should increase bid on one product when he probably bid on more than one product, so I'm going to hear a little input from the rest of the commissioners, and then I will make a motion in favor of what you're saying. Thank you, thank you, Director Neary.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Mark, wasn't this part of that bid process that we went through all the mix-up over the guy from Missoula that put his bid in and he didn't get it in time or something? So would this allow him to also put another bid in?
Commissioner Callahan, Director Neary.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Callahan, I don't believe so. We didn't go out to bid again. Thatcher, the guy who was in charge of doing the bid, I think he made a mistake and didn't get it in or whatever. And he tried to get in. I remember we talked about it here at the council, but I don't know that we want to go through this again and open it up for bid, because then we'd end up with the higher price from everybody. I'm sure it's going up from everybody, but my take on it is we stick with the contract we have, and I know it's unfortunate for Mr. Lang, but I believe we should stick with it.
Thank you, Director Neary. Any other questions?
I got a
Follow-up, Commissioner Callahan.
With County Attorney Joyce, is that legal?
County Attorney Joyce.
Yeah, Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Callahan, I think that you would open the county up to a possible bid protest from the other bidders that didn't get the contract if you allow the person or the entity that won the bid to then come in after the fact and increase their price, because the reason that they were awarded the contract is it was the lowest bid, and now they're trying to come in and make their bid higher, and I think that opens us up to a potential for a bid protest from other bidders.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. Any other questions? Follow-up, Commissioner Callahan. No. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Thank you, Director Neary. I will make a motion at this time that we deny communication 2021-337, to deny that communication and place on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny and place on file communication number 2021-336. Anything on the question?
337.
Oh, 337, my fault. Thank you, 337. Thank you for the correction. Commissioners, please vote. And would anyone like to change their vote? And clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to an item placed on tonight's agenda, communication, let's see, I want to make sure I got this right. Communication number 2021-339. Are we doing 338 first and then 339? I thought because we haven't put, this was on the consent agenda. And then we go to the resolutions?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So we would, yeah, we do, this would be a consent agenda one, and then the other one's a resolution. Okay. All right.
You're absolutely right.
We're right. We're good.
JP is right.
So communication 2021-338 is a request to pass a whoops, 339.
No, now we need to approve the consent agenda.
We already did
Okay,
approve
and we
it.
did the other two. Never mind.
Yep,
Okay, good.
okay. Communication
We're both right.
221-339 is communication for Human Resources Benefits Specialist Teresa Marshall requesting authorization for the chief executive to sign a run-out service agreement between the city and county and Allegiance Benefit Plan Management. This agreement will allow Allegiance to process health, dental, and vision plan claims incurred on or before the end of June 30th, 2021. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to concur with 2021-339 and place this on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place 2021-339 on file. Concur and place on file. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to a resolution to be placed on.
Do that yet. We have to do the communication first. The
Oh,
next
no.
one. Yeah,
Okay,
resolution comes after that.
okay.
Yeah.
So we do the,
Yep.
now I'm goofed up.
Communication.
338, okay. All right, moving on to placing communication 2021-338, resolution number 2021-23. Communication 2021- is a request, 338 is a request to pass a resolution to impose state one fire restrictions with effectively ban all open burning within the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana. Resolution number 2021-23 is the proposed resolution to impose such restrictions. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to concur with 2021-338 and place it on file.
Second.
We have a motion to concur and place communication number 2021-338 and resolution number 2021-23 to concur and place on file. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Now, moving on to
Suspend the rules.
the suspension of the rules for communication number 2021-338,
Resolution.
or for resolution number 2021-23. Clerk, could you please
I have to suspend the rules.
okay. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chief
new.
Executive. We're good. I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing Resolution Number 2021-23 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee. We need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to
Suspend the rules.
to suspend the rules. We'll just go with that. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. All right, moving on to resolution number 2021-23. Clerk, could you please read the caption?
Yes.
We're there.
Council Resolution Number 2021-23, a resolution declaring that emergency fire conditions exist within the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana, city, county, establishing special fire restrictions, Stage 1, as adopted by the Dillon Area Restrictions and Closures Group, of which Butte-Silver Bow is a participating member, throughout the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana, authorizing the Dillon Area Restrictions and Closure Group to upgrade the special fire restrictions to Stage 2 and/or implement local/small-scale closures and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to place Council Resolution 2021-23 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place communication resolution number 2021-23 on final reading and passed. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay. We fumbled through that, thank you. Moving on to Section 2, ordinance and resolutions for final reading. We have Council Bill number 2021-05, ordinance number 2021-05. Clerk, could you please read the caption?
Council Bill number 2021-05, ordinance number 2021-05. Ordinance amending section 17-060-030 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code, BSBMC, which section adopted the zoning map of the Butte-Silver, State of Montana, providing for a change to the official zoning district map by rezoning approximately 1.5 acres from R2 two-family residence to C2 community commercial, commonly located between Park Street and Broadway Street, west of Ohio Street, located in the Baltic Lode, Section 13, Township 3 North, Range 8 West of the PMM of the City and County of Butte-Silver, State of Montana, providing for the repeal of all parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill number 2021-05, ordinance number 2021-05 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place on final reading Council Bill on passed Council Bill number 2021-05 and ordinance number 2021-05 final reading passed. Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to public comment on any public matter not on the agenda tonight. So if you'd like to come forward, please come up, state your name and address, and tell us the topic that you'd like to talk to us about tonight. This is open for public comment, not discussion. You can't ask us questions, but you can come up and yes. You can come up. If you touch the, there was a speaker, there you go.
And your name and
Please state-
address, please.
My name is Chris Hooker, and I reside at 3311 Sanders Street here in Butte. I'm coming forth for my whole neighborhood. A lot of them backed out. I believe they're scared. I have been for about 2.5 years fighting the people that live behind me. It's pretty much a trafficking house. There is anywhere from 20 to 60 vehicles a day in and out of the alley. I've asked them to slow down. I've called the cops probably over 150 times over the last 2 years. I've been in contact with the Drug Task Force. I have had several officers tell me this is where I need to be to try to move forward with something else. I was approached by an officer last week after I put my vehicle and in between their dog that was going after a kid in the alley. I called the police in. They called the animal control. Animal control was supposed to come and deal with it. Nothing ever happened. They were supposed to give me a statement thing. I was pretty much told by the police officer that unless somebody gets bit, they don't do anything anymore. They go through my alley so fast, and my neighborhood is so rich with kids. Robbie, my next door neighbor, plays darts in the bushes out back. And I feel that it's gonna, before anything is gonna get done, it's gonna take one of the children to get hit and killed back there by the tremendous amount of traffic. Today I have video camera footage of a vehicle going through my alley so fast, they were literally flying off the ground. And they have like maybe 1.5 feet on each side. I mean, they do not care. It's all hours of the night. The dog was going after the kid. The lady yelled at me for running up on the dog with my truck. The kid was scared as can be. The officer asked him what was going on. He said he was going back in the alley to play darts. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that an alley should be a traffic way. I was also approached on Friday and told that she was pressing harassment charges on me. And that they were going, and that they presented it to the county attorney, and I could get a restraining order, and it was a misdemeanor criminal charge for harassment because I made a post on Facebook with pictures of my caution children at play signs and said, and I was pretty upset. I made a comment, you know, that people need to quit rushing down the alley for their drugs. Never mentioned a name, never mentioned an address, but yet this person has contacted the police department. And so I feel that in order for me to stick up for my family and other kids in the neighborhood, that it's turning into basically that I'm going to get myself in trouble doing it, because I feel that I've talked to the drug task force several times. I talked to him today. He told me best thing to do is to come up here and express my concerns about what's going on in my neighborhood. It's bad. It's 2.5 years. It's the same people. It's the same gal. It's the same guy. And I've even went back and talked to him. He's tried to call me out in the alley in the middle of the night. He wakes up my company. He wakes up my kids on school nights with dirt bikes and crotch rockets. They have, last year, my other neighbor had to call the cops on him because they were in the back shooting at each other. And she says every time she looks, they got guns back there laying on top of vehicles, handguns. They have them stuffed in there. They're not using the alley. They said she would start using the alley, she said she'd start open up her front gate and using that. I mean, for her friends, is what I was told, and that has not happened. The traffic has gotten no better. Over the 4th of July, I requested extra patrols because I was leaving town, and I feel that all my property is unsafe back there, and somebody's going to break into my place because there's people walking with backpacks all night, people running down my alley like going crazy. I've had to run people out of the bushes back there. There was a guy out there with a flashlight, tent poles, looking for stuff in the grass in the middle of daytime with a flashlight, literally. I mean, and this is just nonstop, and don't matter what I do and how many times I call, I feel that absolutely nothing is being done about it. I read up on that public nuisance law, and one of the things that was stated in there that is like an unruly animal is violating that nuisance law. I have on videotape that dog going after this kid in my alley, and absolutely nothing got done about it. Nothing. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like me calling law enforcement, I feel like I'm crying wolf anymore, because I'm just nothing. The amount of traffic, and this is from one end of the alley. This is my end. I live almost on the corner. The girl that I talked to last night that was supposed to write a letter and have me bring it up here and read what's been going on, they've smashed her fence in with their vehicles. They've done all kinds of other stuff. And she says that the traffic from there is insane too, and I can only see half of it, and that's how many cars a day. I mean, if I was to go through, I have over like 2,000 clips of vehicles going in and out of that alley and pulling into their driveway, because when I look down my garage to keep my property safe, you can see exactly where them cars are going. They're going to the same place every time. And it seems like don't matter what I do, people have been arrested for stolen vehicles back there, stolen ATVs back there. One guy got arrested because he had a warrant. He tried taking off. I called the law enforcement because of a motorcycle revving at 11:30 at night on a school night. Woke my children up. I was sick and tired of it. They came down there. They said, I think it's the guy behind us revving his four-wheeler up. I don't know why he'd be calling. Right after they left, the motorcycle started revving up again. So I called law enforcement. They came down. They were back in the back questioning. The other guy came to the front and was talking to me, and he said, we have to bust him in order to do anything about it. And all of a sudden, a dirt bike flew by with its lights off, like at night, on a school night, and went down that alley. Didn't see law enforcement sitting down there. Stopped, and then once they got him to stop, he shut the bike off, and he tried to take off on him. I mean, it's just, it's getting unruly, and I feel that if something is not done about the traffic in this alley, that there's going to be a fatality of a young kid. I mean, there's probably 15 kids in my neighborhood that play near. All of our kids, they play together, and I don't even allow my kids in that alley. And other parents do, and I feel bad because, I mean, honestly, a kid should be able to ride his bike through an alley and shoot Nerf guns at his friends and have fun. But I don't want my kids back there because I'm afraid they're going to get hit. And it's just, it's been nonstop for 2.5 years, and I've done everything that I can possibly think of to try to get this handled.
Thank you, Mr. Hooker. As I said, we can't address to you
I
or
understand.
anything, and so we appreciate you coming in and speaking to us tonight. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment tonight? Seeing none, we'll just move on to just note the calendar of other meetings and events as they move forward. And then I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Have a great night. Thank you for coming.